Is this the end for podcasts? I don't know. I don't really know, but Google just released an amazing new tool called NotebookLM, and NotebookLM is meant to help you take notes and make sense of the notes that you've taken. So what they're saying is, feed us all the notes that you've taken as a PDF, as a website, or whatever on any complex topic, and what we'll do is we're not just going to explain it to you, we're going to turn it into a really cool podcast. And I know what you're thinking. I mean, this is amazing. I love this because I really learn well from podcasts. But the fear is that this thing is so good that it really is muddying the waters of podcasts, and you're not going to know in a few months to a year whether the podcast that you're listening to is actually done by people or this is a very just someone uploaded a PDF to NotebookLM and created a podcast. So let's jump right into it because this thing is amazing right here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go into Google LM. And here we're excited to help you explore the power your personal data is never used. Great, thank you for that. That's very important to me. So here you have the option of uploading documents, converting complex material, or any key resources to whatever. So in this case, I actually decided to take my website, and this is a website that I use to try as a filmmaker to try and get more people. Unfortunately, I didn't do this right. You're supposed to, you go to the thing, it says link and then website, but I only uploaded, it appears to be the first page of my website. And so it didn't have much to go on, which is the amazing thing here, right? So here, this is just me pasting my website in here. It's a Wix website, and it's going to give you the option of generating a podcast right over here. Deep dive conversation, 2 hosts in English only. That's one of the limitations right now, that it's only in English. But this thing is incredible, and it's scary how real this thing is. So here, let's hit generate. And what it's going to do is it's going to generate a very cool sounding podcast about my website. But you can imagine here, if you have a very complex subject in school and you upload it to here, this can be a really cool resource. Like I haven't seen many tools of AI that are, I haven't seen many tools using AI that are actually very, very helpful. So this thing is wild. But here, let's take a listen right now to these 2 podcast hosts talking about my website.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive.
Another deep dive.
You know, I always love getting into this stuff.
Yeah.
And today we're tackling something a little different, right? Just one single web page. We're trying to unravel the enigma that is filmmaker Jason F. Gilbert.
Woo, enigma. I like that.
And all we've got to go on, seriously, is the homepage of his website.
Okay.
So, like, can we actually do this? Can we really get a sense of this filmmaker from so little?
You'd be surprised.
I'm intrigued, I gotta say.
I love this challenge. It's like, you find a film reel at an archaeological dig, right?
Right.
Just from how that reel is presented, the way it's been stored, you can learn a lot about the person who made it, even before you watch a single frame.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down, so let's apply that to this website. First thing that jumps out at me, this thing is minimalist. Like, really minimalist.
Yeah.
It's just his name, director and filmmaker. Which, okay, straight to the point, a button that just said see more videos, and then like way at the bottom, a teeny tiny little mention of the website builder that he used.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's very bare bones.
So what's the takeaway here? What's he saying by not saying anything, if that makes sense?
Well, I think this minimalist approach, it's our first clue, right? Think about directors known for that aesthetic, like a Sofia Coppola or a Wes Anderson.
Right.
Their films, they often have this very clean, curated look, and that translates to their whole brand, their online presence included.
Oh, that's a really good point.
It's about letting the work, the visual storytelling, speak for itself, not clutter things up with unnecessary extras.
Okay, yeah, when you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Maybe this Jason F. Gilbert, he's going for that same kind of artistic, very deliberate vibe.
Possibly, yeah.
But then there's this see more videos button, and maybe I'm imagining it, but it's practically glowing, like it's begging to be clicked.
It's definitely prominent.
Right. So how does that fit in?
I think that prominence tells us something, too. It tells us he's prioritizing his work above all else. He's not trying to sell you on, like, his life story or a list of fancy clients, testimonials, none of that. Yeah. He's just saying, hey, I make films. Here they are. Check them out.
It's a bold move for sure, especially these days when it feels like everyone online is trying to over-explain themselves, Like you got to have the whole backstory, the mission statement, all that.
It's refreshing in a way, isn't it?
It is. I once went to a filmmaker site, and it was literally just one image, one captivating image, and it made me so curious. I had to see more.
It's like a teaser.
Exactly. So I get that impulse, but got to ask about this website builder note at the bottom. That feels almost out of place,
It's true. It's like finding a stray coffee stain on a perfectly pressed suit. Like, did they mean for that to be there?
Yeah. And I can't tell if it works for him or against him.
It's interesting, though, right? Like, maybe it is deliberate. A touch of, like, unpolished authenticity.
Yeah. Real raw.
Or maybe...
I'm going to stop it right there because this is just absolutely mind-blowing, all right? The quality of the podcast. People pay a lot of money or need to study a long time to be able to produce something that good. And right now there's only two voices. There's a male and a female, but they sound superhuman, right? They sound actually very authentic and very human. I imagine that in 6 months you're going to have hundreds of TTS voices that sound just like that in different accents and different variations and different types of pronunciations, and it's going to get to the point where you're just not going to be able to tell anymore whether the podcast that you're listening to is real or not real, and whether that's an issue, whether that bothers you. Maybe that doesn't bother you. As a filmmaker, you can tell about the podcast, as a filmmaker, I was really scared by Sora and by some of the other tools, the AI tools, because I'm thinking to myself, well, I spent all this time honing my craft, and now all of a sudden people can do what takes me hours, months, days, months to do, can do it in just a prompt. Same thing with podcasts. We're talking about podcasts, we're talking about producers who have to book the guests. You have to get a recording studio. You have to have someone edit the podcast. You have to have so much sound effect, and it's just so much work goes into these podcasts that's been now reduced to uploading a document. So on one hand, incredible leap forward in technology. I can't imagine, like, this is one of the best use cases for AI that I've ever heard of. But on the other hand, the potential of this thing is so damaging. It's so potentially dangerous to who we are as humans. They should have never released this thing. So I don't know. I'm not huge on podcasts. I don't really listen to podcasts that much. Every so often I get invited to speak on a podcast, but I don't really get it. But I'm curious for you people out in the audience watching, is the millions and billions and trillions of you humans. What do you think about this? Is this something that you can get behind? Is this something that you appreciate and say, well, I would listen to a podcast like this, or I would use this tool to be able to understand topics better? Or are you, like me, terrified by the prospects of what something like this can bring? And if so, maybe you should invite me onto your podcast and we could talk about it.